Hi and welcome to the 2017 competitor briefing for the Classic Concrete Pumping Grafton Bridge to Bridge. I'm Jason Disson, President of the Big River Ski Club, and we'll go through a briefing as quickly as possible and hope you enjoy your weekend at Grafton. Of course, on the weekend, crew sign-in occurs at the Crown Hotel between 1 and 5 p.m. on Friday afternoon, and then we've got our welcome party at the Crown Hotel all night on Friday night. So come along and see us, and if you haven't met the committee members before, make sure you introduce yourself and give us whatever feedback you can. We always love to make sure that everybody's happy and enjoys their weekend at Grafton. As far as the briefing goes, Saturday's our first day of racing. Event 1 is disabled and under 10s. 9 a.m. start time, so make sure you're on the water in plenty of time if you are in those events. Breath testing will be occurring in front of the rowing sheds, so at the start line, so make sure you take your SRA photo ID, and skiers must take their helmets as well for checking. So that goes at breath testing before racing starts. Event 1 is the only event on Saturday that will be using tightrope grid starts. So it's only on for this event for disabled and under 10s. The start order will be disabled competitors first, followed by under 10s in wave starts. The start area, all the buoys and flags will be as per your briefing sheet. So make sure you have a look at your briefing sheet to be aware of all your buoys and flags. The display of a medical flag during racing by any competitor on Saturday will result in a red flag situation. So if you drive past the situation, see a medical flag displayed by another boat, you can stop and render assistance or go to the next course boat to ensure that they get the assistance provided, knowing full well that it will be a red flag situation if a medical flag is shown. All boats may launch and retrieve from the Crown Hotel boat ramp, so you can launch and retrieve there. Make sure though you're not interfering with any race, so if a race is underway, you'll have to wait until the end of that race before you motor around to the ramp to put your boat in. Otherwise, stay beside the ramp when you put your boat in the water, and then you'll be able to move on from there. The start line for event 1 will be between the island and the start-finish buoy, with pole 1 against the island. So boats in poles 2 and 3 will be to the right-hand side of that boat, starting on pole 1 against the island. Start procedure and flags will be as per the SRA rulebook for a grid start. So make sure you're familiar with that with your countdown of 10-minute start. The Australian flag and green flag will go up at a minute to start. At 30 seconds, the green flag will drop, skiers in the water, run ropes out and go on the drop of the Australian flag. That is the sign for any subsequent grids to drop their skis in the water, run the ropes out. The Australian flag will go back up and drop for the go on the subsequent grids. Event 2 is the 30-kilometre social challenge. So it's the first of the races that will be using the push-out starts, and all the subsequent events after disabled and under 10s will use the push-out start system. Event 3 after the 30-kilometre shootout will be the Crown Jewel shootout, and then event 4, the Championships by Disco Marine. So that'll be the last event of the day. The start procedure for the push-out starts and 30-kilometre social challenge and the Championships will be 2 boats per minute, and the Crown Jewel shootout will be 1 boat per minute. Where the start is 2 boats a minute, pole 1 will be on the upstream end of the bank, and the starting bank in front of the rowing sheds area. So that will be the start area. Pole 1 on the upstream end. Odd number poles will start on the right of the 2-boat grid, even numbers on the left. So be sure that you line up in start order along the bank and move along as the boats are taking off in front of you. If you're not in the race that's underway or is the next race, make sure you move away from that start bank so that there's plenty of room for boats that are starting in the next race to line up along that start bank. So make sure you move away if you're not in that race. Start procedure for the push-out starts. Boats will be notified of 10 minutes and 5 minutes to start. Grid 1 will be counted down from 1 minute to start, and at 10 seconds to start, boats will be pushed out from the bank and skiers can drop into the water. Grid 1 will receive a countdown from 10 to go when the boats may start their engine. No boat is permitted to start the engine before go, So you must wait until the countdown to go before you start your motor. Subsequent grids after that first grid will receive the same 1 minute countdown as that first grid. If you have a fall in that area, so a fall in the start, there are no power turns. You're to come to a stop, idle back up your rope and circle around your skiers and pick up your skiers from there. Any subsequent start attempt in a push-out start must be made parallel to the racing line, so you're not to start across the river. You must line up parallel to the racing line along the river, and any subsequent start attempt can be made from there. If there's any failed start in the Crown Jewel shootout, that boat is to be withdrawn from the event, so there's no failed starts permissible in the Crown Jewel shootout. For teams in the championships, after 3 failed starts, you must withdraw from their heat, and then the boat will receive a time equal to the slowest recorded time in that heat. So once you've had your 3rd attempted start, you're to pull out. In the social shootout, you may continue to keep trying to start and move on from there. The course being used for Saturday's racing was around Susan Island. So after leaving the start area, you'll proceed upstream, moving slightly across to the left-hand side of the river, where you'll head upstream into an area in between Susan Island and Peanut Island. So you will pass between the big island on your left and the small island on your right-hand side. After you pass that small island, you'll head into the top turn buoy. Shallow water is existing far out to your right side, so don't move out to the right to try and get a better line. Stay in line with the buoys feeding you into the top turn buoy. The top turn buoy is a large square orange buoy. It's located approximately 500 metres upstream from the end of the island, and you've got the small 100 metre lead-in buoy. It's approximately 100 metres before the top turn buoy. Top turn buoy is a single buoy turn. At the exit of the turn, you've got 2 white buoys over on the right-hand side of the river, keeping you away from a rock bar that's over there, and you'll be then proceeding downstream along the back of the island, making sure you keep all your regulation distances off the banks all the time. When you approach the bottom end of the island, don't cut the island, as a sandbar exists off the end of the island and runs out approximately 250 metres off the end of the island. The bottom turn will be a 3-buoy turn with a 100 metre lead-in buoy. So you'll have the small orange lead-in buoy positioned approximately 100 metres upstream of those 3 buoys, and that'll take you around the bottom turn. After coming out of the bottom turn, there will be a course boat located mid-course, halfway between the bottom turn and the start-finish line. This boat will be there to display a yellow flag if any boats or excessive wash are still in the start area. So as you come around the island past the start line, if there is any boats still in the start area, or if there's excessive wash there after a fallen competitor's just got away, that boat will display a yellow flag to let you know that there are some conditions to be aware of. You'll have some white safety buoys on your right hand side keeping you off the Grafton bank, so you make sure you keep those white buoys on your right. Crossing the finish line, once you cross the line, it's not a checkered flag finish, so you count your laps to finish the race. Once you cross the finish line, keeping the start-finish buoy on your left. So the buoy is on your left, keeping to the right-hand side of the channel. You will then proceed past the finish line and come to a stop on the right-hand side of the course, so against the Grafton bank. So proceed well past the start-finish buoy. Don't do any power turns in that area. You're to come to a stop and then circle around and come back up your line to pull your skiers into the boat. We don't want any power turns because we don't want any wash from boats that are still in their race and may still have to do laps past your area. A course boat will notify all those boats in the finish area when the course is clear for boats to return to the bank. If you're unable to finish under your own power, once the Chief Judge opens the course after the end of the event, you may proceed back to the start bank. If you can't get back under your own power, a course boat will pick you up and you will arrange a tow for you as soon as possible back to the bank. Moving on to Sunday's event, the classic concrete pumping Grafton Bridge to Bridge. Once again, all your buoys and flags will be as per the rule book and also as per the briefing sheet you'll receive, so make sure you're familiar with those. So anytime you see any of those flags, particularly by course boats, make sure you know exactly what's going on. Breath testing will occur pre-race, once again at the same spot as Saturday, down in front of the rowing sheds. So make sure that you take your photo ID or your SRA card, and skiers are to take their helmets as well for checking to breath testing. All boats are to prepare on the Crown Hotel bank, and all boats are to be in the start area no less than 10 minutes prior to start. So when the 10-minute hooter sounds, all boats must be out in the start area. The start area is an area between the start-finish line across to Susan Island and in a triangular area down towards the Grafton Bridge. So that's the milling area that you'll be able to move around in that region, getting skiers ready, making sure you're out there well in time before that 10-minute hooter. Any boats not in that area that haven't left the bank by the 10-minute siren will not be permitted to leave the start area. So you must have left prior to the 10-minute hooter and the 10-minute warning. The starter will be on the houseboat. So there'll be a houseboat moored in the middle of the river beside the start-finish buoy. So the starter will be on that boat. All boats are to start to the left-hand side of the start boat. So pole 1 will be closest to Susan Island. Pole 2 and 3 subsequently out to the right-hand side of pole 1. But all boats are to start between the houseboat, the start boat, and Susan Island. At the 5-minute warning, the Australian flag and the green flag will be raised on the start boat. At 1 minute to start, those flags will be showing. With 30 seconds to start, the green flag will drop, indicating that the skiers can drop in the water for that first wave of boats. So skiers enter the water, run the ropes out, countdown to go, and the Australian flag will drop and the first wave of boats is away. Those flags will be down momentarily. Both flags will be raised with a minute between grids. So once again, at 30 seconds, the green flag will drop, skiers drop into the water, run ropes out, and then on go, the Australian flag will drop as well. Make sure that everybody's familiar with the new rules in relation to when you may start. So there has been changes to the rule book, obviously, so you need to be aware of what the start procedure is as far as not moving the boat prior to the drop of the Australian flag saying go. No power turns in the start area, so if you have a fall in the start, you're to come to a stop, circle straight around and run back up your rope to your skiers. So no power turns in that start area, run around and run up your rope, pick up your skiers and have another attempt at a start. After 2 failed starts, you're to drag your skiers from the start area where you can keep on starting and having more attempts to start your race. When you leave the start area, you'll be proceeding upstream. You'll head upstream, moving slightly across to the left-hand side of the river and heading up towards the top turn buoy. So you'll move towards the end of Susan Island. The little island that you'll come across, you'll keep that on your right-hand side. There'll be white buoys marking that channel off. So you'll proceed upstream between the 2 islands, keeping Susan Island on your left, the large island, and the small island on your right. You'll then come out of the top of Susan Island, and approximately 500 metres upstream at the end of the island will be the top turn buoy, which is a large square orange buoy. There'll be a 100-metre lead-in buoy into that single buoy top turn. Around that buoy, over to your right-hand side, there'll be a couple of white buoys keeping you off a rock bar that exists over on the right-hand side of the river. And it will feed you down the back of the island to head downstream. Downstream, you'll proceed downstream out the back of the island and then come to the Grafton Bridge. The Grafton Bridge is the only bridge that you pass under in the Grafton Bridge to Bridge. So if you ever see any other bridges, you know you have to not pass under those to stay on course. A black arrow on an orange background will be indicating the span that you travel under. That arrow will be on the walkway across the top of the bridge, and you'll also have orange lead-in buoys on your left-hand side feeding you into the span that you're to pass underneath. So you'll pass under the span with the orange and black arrow, go through underneath that span, out the back of the island, out of the back of the bridge. On your right, you'll notice the barge where bridge works are occurring at the moment. Will be buoyed off way over to your right, and there'll also be white buoys marking the barge over there. But you won't have to worry about that barge at all. That is completely off course, and the the orange separators will feed you into the correct span. After proceeding through the Grafton Bridge, you'll sweep around to the left and come to Elizabeth Island. Once again, the channel on the right will be blocked off by white buoys, and you'll keep that island on your right-hand side. That's approximately 3 kilometres after the Grafton Bridge, so you keep that island on your right-hand side. There'll be white buoys keeping you off shallow areas off the end of that island, around the island, and head down towards Almara. That'll take you down towards Almara. In the middle of the river, there are a series of separator buoys to keep you away from oncoming traffic and to feed you into the correct area of the river. And this is where we'll encounter the first of the ferries that we have on course. The ferry will have a judge's boat approximately 200 metres either side of the ferry. If the ferry course boat is displaying a green flag, you can proceed through and the course is open. We're not anticipating that we should have any ferry stops, but if there are any emergencies, it may be the case that a ferry may have to cross the course. If that is the case, the judge's boat either side of the ferry will display a red flag. If that's the case, you'll proceed past that ferry, the ferry course boat. So you go past the course boat displaying the red flag and drop dead in the water. No circling around is permitted, so you drop dead in the water with tight ropes. When the ferry has crossed and it is clear to go again, the judge's boat will drop the red flag indicating that you can proceed downstream. It's not your discretion to know when you can leave. You must wait until the course boat has dropped the red flag so that you know you can proceed downstream, and you'll be given a credit for any time that you've been sitting in the water. So watch the judge's boat, not the ferry, of course. As you pass through that area, so you'll proceed past the Almara ferry, once again around to your left, sweeping around to the right through the Brushgrove area, downstream heading towards the Lawrence Sandbar area, which is the narrowest part of the river. Approximately 500 metres on the Grafton side of the island, you'll start to pick up a series of separation buoys that'll feed you into the area that takes you through Lawrence. There'll be a series of white buoys on your right-hand side, so quite a well-marked area that will feed you right through that sandspit area. Make sure you keep the shallow water well on your right-hand side. No overtaking is permitted through this area, so whoever's first into that area, you're to follow line astern through that narrow area and come out around the right-hand side, and then head into what is the second of the ferries, which is the Lawrence Ferry area. Once again, ferry course boats will be approximately 200 metres either side. They should be displaying green flags indicating the course is open. If there is a problem with a ferry crossing being required, they will display that red flag, and the same procedure will be required as was explained at the Almara ferry. Once you go through the Lawrence ferry area, you'll proceed downriver along the long straight, around a big right-hand sweeper, which will take you into the Maclean area. Once again, there's a small channel off on your right-hand side, and also a rock shelf over there, which will be buoyed off. So you keep those well on your right-hand side. Pass through the township of Maclean, long right-hand sweeper, all the way down to the bottom turn buoy at Harwood. The bottom turn buoy is located approximately 250 metres upstream of the bridge, and you'll be fed into that single large square buoy turn with a 100 metre lead-in buoy. After rounding the turn buoy, you'll proceed back upstream towards Grafton and keep all the orange separation buoys on your left, keeping you away from that oncoming traffic. Past, once again, the Maclean area, sweeping around to your right, and then a long sweeper around your left-hand side, around to the left on the right-hand side. As you go through this left-hand sweeper will be the area they known as the Broadwater. So the Broadwater is a vast expanse of water there. That will be buoyed off, and once again you'll have orange separators in the middle of the river feeding you around into the correct channel. You'll head upstream now towards the Lawrence Ferry area. You'll come across the Lawrence Ferry and the judge's boat, once again 200 metres either side, hopefully displaying that green flag. Through the Lawrence Ferry with the same procedure as been previously explained, and into the sandspit area. After passing the ferry, you'll head into the Lawrence area or the Lawrence Township area. You'll pick up a line of white buoys on your right-hand side, which will feed you into an area where there's a white 6 metre pole. There's an isolated danger marker with the rock shelf on your right hand side. You'll also pick up the line of orange separators on your left, feeding you through the township and out of the area of Lawrence. You'll then proceed upstream all the way back towards Grafton, back to the old Mara Ferry area. Same flag procedure as going down, watching for the judge's flag. The orange separators will you keep on your left. After passing to the ferry, there's a series of moored boats on your right hand side with some white buoys that will keep you off those boats, and you must keep all those white buoys on your right hand side, keeping you off the sandbar and moored boats area. Heading upstream now, back towards the township of Grafton, you'll get to Elizabeth Island. You keep that island on your left. There's a large orange buoy feeding you into the right hand side of the channel, and all those orange separators kept on your left hand side as you head around the area of the Elizabeth Island area, back past Corcoran Park and back towards the Grafton Bridge. Same procedure as going down. There will be a orange sheet of plastic with a big black arrow hanging off the bridge, pointing at the span you're to travel under. So you head under that span, keeping the orange separators on your left, through the Grafton Bridge and towards the finish line. After passing under the Grafton Bridge, you'll pick up a series of white buoys on your right hand side that feed you around to the finish line, and the finish line has the start finish buoy on the middle of the river. You keep the start finish buoy on your left hand side as you go across the finish line through into the run out area. Those buoys will continue through on the right hand side, so come to a stop well past the start finish line on the right hand side of the river, where you come to a dead stop in the river with tight ropes. We don't want to see any power turns for any boats that are still having to start on the main part of the course. So no power turns, come to a stop, pull your skis into the boat, and then you'll be able to idle back to shore. Idling back to shore, you'll keep the white buoys on your right hand side, so that'll give you a corridor to idle back to shore, and you can pull up on the bank. All boats can pull out from the ramp at the Crown Hotel, so you'll be able to pull out at that ramp. There'll be marshals in place that will make sure you won't be able to take your trailer down to the ramp until your boat has crossed the finish line. Any boat that's must partake in technical scrutineering must wait on the bank until the judge opens the course at the end of the last boat crossing the line, before those boats will be able to proceed downstream for technical scrutineering. Make sure that there's no alcohol in the boats, no riding around in the boats when you pull the boat out of the water. All the crew must be out of the boat when the boat is pulled out of the water, so you must not be riding around in the boat, and there mustn't be any alcohol or smoking, of course, in the boat whilst you're on course or pulling the boat out. For technical scrutineering will occur for under 8 litre and under 6 litre inboard, and also for MOC, SMOC, F2 and under 200 horsepower. So any boats in those classes that are required to go to technical scrutineering must wait until the end of the race. When the course is open, you will then be asked to proceed downstream to the Corcoran Park boat ramp area, and the furthest downstream boat ramp, where you'll be able to pull the boat out, and scrutineers will be available to take you through technical scrutineering. So that brings us to the end of the competitor briefing for the 2017 Classic Concrete Pumping Grafton Bridge to Bridge. I'd like to wish every competitor the best of luck for whatever their goals are for the race, and make sure you have a safe race and an enjoyable weekend here in Grafton. We'd like to thank everybody for all their efforts in coming and supporting the race, and we hope to see you over the weekend. And as I said, good luck and good racing.